Hi there, this is Mark Edelman, speech-language pathologist, and welcome to this video from the teaching of talking. This is almost our last night in Brighton, UK, England, where we've been for the last number of weeks. We've been lecturing, and we've been teaching people about the teaching of talking. And it's been just wonderful. And we're kind of getting our thoughts together regarding an intensive aphasia and apraxia program that we're going to be having in Las Vegas. But what I'd like to talk to you today about is some of the little cardinal rules of talking. And these are rules that probably those with more of a mild aphasia need to follow. So I'm going to give you 4 tips. And so the first one I'm going to give you is this. When you're talking, make sure that you're never self-critical, that you never make any kind of negative statement about your speaking or about what's happening as you're trying to talk to another person. So never make any derogatory statements. That's really, really critical. Number 2 is, whatever you do, don't say I can't. Because, when you say I can't, it's what we call autosuggestion. And autosuggestion is when whatever you say, whatever you believe, acts on the subconscious mind, and then the subconscious mind takes orders from the conscious mind. So if the conscious mind is saying, I can't say that, or if they're saying, I can't talk very well, what happens is that keeps a person stuck in an inability to speak with clarity or to speak intelligibly. Not intelligently, but intelligibly. Number 3 is, especially for those who have mild difficulties, here's something that Mrs. Wolf once taught me. Mrs. Wolf was a coach of mine, and I used to enter these Ronan and declamation contests. And they were speaking contests, and she was just an excellent coach. And many of the things that she taught me way back decades ago, I still follow myself personally, and of course I continue with the same teachings. So what I want to share with you is the idea that if you speak and you find yourself getting discombobulated, or if you find yourself speaking and the word doesn't come out very well, don't stop, don't try and repeat it, don't try to say it right, just keep going. Because if you stop, then what's going to happen is you're going to get tense, and then you're going to start struggling for a word. Now, when you struggle, that makes it difficult to recall. And not only that, but your struggle, the feelings that you're feeling when you struggle, get communicated to the other person. So the other person not only watches a person go through this struggle, but they also start to feel the same kinds of feelings that the person who's struggling feeling. So here's the idea. The idea is that once the cat is out of the bag, once you say the word, and if it doesn't come out very clear, or even if another word is substituted, just keep going like there's nothing wrong. Now here's another idea, especially for those of you who have a mild aphasia, and that is that when you have difficulty formulating an idea or answering a question, just pause. Just stop talking and just pause. Because there's nothing worse than starting to talk when you haven't really formulated your thought or your idea. And that's what a lot of people with mild aphasia do. They think that they have to kind of keep the conversation going. And so they'll start talking and they won't really have the idea formulated. And then what typically happens is that speech disrupts. So that's the idea of the pause, and that's really important. And finally, I'm going to give you the last one, and I stopped counting. I don't know if this is the fourth or the fifth, but don't mind me. It's towards the end of the day, and I've been walking many miles here in the United Kingdom. Here's the other one. You know, a lot of people and caregivers, you're really guilty of this, is that you'll say, well, you know, nobody comes around. Nobody comes to see Joe anymore, or nobody comes to see Susie anymore. Nobody comes to see Mary anymore since she's had her stroke. Well, here's the idea for you. Make sure you know how to stimulate speech and language. That's number one. And number two, make an invitation to them. And especially if you make an invitation and there's food around it, make sure that you invite an old friend or something like that over and say, look, I'm making something very special for dinner, or I'm making a very special snack, and I know Joe would love to see you. We'd like to have you over to the house on Sunday afternoon at 3 o'clock, or something like that. So don't wait for the old friends who aren't coming around anymore. Don't wait for them to call you. You call them and invite them over. And here's the last thing for those who have a mild aphasia, and that is, what I want you to do is, when you're talking, besides never making any excuses, what you want to do is you just want to be in their presence. You want to relax and see if you can ask a question. And even if you're hardly talking at all, just invite them over, and Mrs. Caregiver or Mr. Caregiver, make sure that you have a number of questions that you're going to ask your guest. Questions about him or questions about her. And sit down, have a nice meal, and socialize. Socialization and communication is so vital today. And so these are just a number of very simple suggestions that I'd like you to follow, especially for those who have a mild or a moderate aphasia. Don't get yourself off into the corner. If people aren't coming around, invite them. So I'll have these suggestions written down beneath this video, and just know that we're going to be having an intensive training for caregivers and for speech therapists, and we're only going to accept up to 10 people. We're only going to accept up to like 10 couples, or maybe 8 couples and 2 therapists, but we're only going to have this open for 10 people. So if you would like some information about intensive training, and I'm going to do training in Aphasia, and that's going to be a 3-day intensive program where I'm going to teach you, bring your loved one who's got Aphasia, and we'll do as much as we can to get them talking, and we'll give you a plan to start working on, and you'll find that in almost every case, your loved one will start talking better. And we're going to also have a teaching of talking intensive program for those with aphasia. And so if your loved one has aphasia, then we're going to have a special intensive program for 3 days at a different week, where we're going to teach you the teaching of talking method so that you can be stimulating speech all day long. So I better continue my walk because it's getting kind of dark out here. But it's been nice visiting with you. Down below is our contact information. If you'd like to be considered for the intensive program, just send me an email. My email is down below. And just tell me that you're interested, and we'll get in touch with you, and we'll send you the information so that you can make a good, educated decision and then get educated about apraxia and aphasia so that you can help your loved one or your patient speak better. This is Mark Ittleman signing off, and just have a great day and a great evening, and I'll see you back in the States. Bye-bye now.